Hello everybody, Infinite Shinjo here, and I am a big, fat liar. In the last episode, when I talked about Slice of Life anime, I said that I was going to record that, comedy, and 2 other videos, but looking at the time now, I'm basically pressed for time. I gotta get to work in about a couple of hours, and I still gotta eat, so this is going to be the only video that I record, and the other ones will be recorded later. But that worked better for me because I can see feedback on how you guys like this series. But I at least wanted to get my thoughts out on the comedy portion of anime, because there are a lot of comedy anime, probably close to the same amount as Slice of Life, because most of them do overlap. But as they say, comedy is subjective, and I hope that with these 3 anime that I pick, there's at least one out of the 3 that you like or are interested in watching. But I'm not gonna waste any more time and start with the first comedy anime, and that is Asobi Asobase. If you haven't heard me talk about this anime, well, what have you been doing with your life? I've literally talked about this anime ever since it came out. Basically, Asobi Asobase is these 3 girls in school with just random antics. Kasumi is the shy, reserved one, can't talk to guys, needs help learning English, and Olivia, the blonde one on the other side, makes people think that she's a foreigner, but she's not a foreigner, and because of that, Kasumi thinks that Olivia can teach her English when she actually can't. And then Hanako, my favorite character from the show. If I could draw any comparison, is Ed from Ed, Edd n Eddy, because she's just so dense, and a lot of the stuff she says just makes no sense in context or even out of context. But all 3 of those girls just got a couple of screws loose, and I love it so much. Now, I will say, I haven't mentioned this the last couple of times I've watched, but this anime's humor is a little bit raunchy in a way to call it. Like, I wouldn't say every episode is, but one example I can think of now is the episode with the Olivia robot. If you've seen that clip floating around online, that you know what I'm talking about. It's not exactly something that you can just watch with your family. But I would be lying if I said that I wasn't laughing my butt off when watching this. Especially the last episode when all the girls and Hanako's butler are playing the board game. It's just a whole bunch of nonsense. And like Nichijou in the last episode, if that sort of anime is up your alley, then this one might be one for you to watch. But the next anime that I'm going to discuss is Wakaba Girl. And if you recognize the name, that's because I've used this anime's opening as background music in at least a couple of my videos. Probably a lot more than I would like to admit. But Wakaba Girl is basically, I believe the main character is called Wakaba, or that's her last name. Basically, she becomes friends with all the characters in the background, and it's just everyday antics. I think in the first episode she mentioned about how she wants to be a gyaru or something like that. I don't know the exact reason or translation for what a gyaru is. I think it basically just means a pretty girl, if I'm not mistaken. But the reason that I mentioned this is, first of all, I wouldn't say its comedy is good, but if you're paying close enough attention, you can tell what the ending is going to be. Like, I think one episode they're gonna get ice cream and something happens and they don't get the ice cream or something. I don't remember. A lot of these anime that I discuss, I've watched a while ago, and I've watched a couple of new anime since then. And by a couple, I mean a whole lot. But there's not really much more I can say. Honestly, if you just look at the poster, you can basically tell what each character's personality is. Which, some would say it's good, some would say it's bad. I would say the anime is fine if you just want to pass the time. That's not the best way to put this, since I'm trying to recommend it to people. But this anime, each episode I think is only 8 minutes long, and that's counting the opening. So overall, you could probably get it done in 1 or 2 days. Honestly, 1 day if you really push it. But since Wakaba Girl doesn't have much watch time on its own, I'm gonna leave it at that with my discussion about it, because there's not really much that I can say about it. All I'll say is, if you want to get an idea of what it's about, watch the first couple of episodes, because I could try to explain it, but I would have to rewatch it over again because it's not entirely fresh in my head. But last up is honestly something that I didn't think that I would be expecting to put here. Space Patrol Lulico. Now, Space Patrol Lulico, whether you will believe it or not just by looking at the poster, is done by Studio Trigger. And I didn't think that it was going to be like that when I first watched it. I honestly didn't expect that it would be done by Trigger. But this anime is, now that I think about it, Lulico, the character and the show, is basically just like random humor in a sense. It does have a clear plot, but it doesn't really, how am I gonna word this? It has a lot of jokes, and honestly, at times, I think it's more of a parody than an actual anime, but that's fine because parody anime can be funny. One Punch Man's a perfect example. Basically, Lulico's dad works at like some space patrol agency. He gets frozen after mistakenly taking, a frozen pill or something, and she goes to his job to try and say, hey, my dad's frozen, he can't come to work. And instead of saying, okay, what can we do to help, the boss decides to enroll Lulico in the position instead, because that makes sense. Then after that, without getting into too many details, is basically just them traveling to different dimensions near the end of it. And it's pretty cool because there are a couple of references to other Trigger works. They literally have Little Witch Academia's Akko in an episode. I think it's the last episode actually. They basically have a lot of Easter eggs from other Trigger works, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not too lazy with editing, then I'll include some right now. But just like Wakaba Girl, it isn't a long watch. I'm pretty sure each one is half the length of a normal anime episode, so you could probably watch it and Wakaba Girl back to back if you wanted to. But like I said, the comedy is kind of odd in a way. It's more or less just random comedy, and if that's the sort of thing you're into, then that's great, and if not, I don't know. I didn't mean to pick all three anime in this video that are basically random comedy. I just picked comedy anime that I liked, and it ended up that all three of them were just random. But that is going to do it for today's video. I didn't mention this in the last video, it honestly slipped my mind, but if there are any comedy anime that you like, then feel free to leave them down in the comment section, because two reasons. One, it might give me a reason to watch another anime that I haven't thought about watching before. And second, if there's somebody watching this video that isn't a fan of any of the three anime that I mentioned, then they might find something in the comment section for somebody else. Everybody wins. But if you have any suggestions for other genres that I can talk about in this format, then you can leave them down in the comment section as well. I'm planning on recording a one for romance and action, and I really want to record one for horror, but I'm going to wait until Promised Neverland finishes up, because I know that that's probably going to be on there. But that is going to do it for today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Momentai. 週末旅行が始まる